Hello students, let's continue chapter 3rd, fiber to fabric. As you know that there are two animal fibers, wool and silk. We have studied about wool in previous video. Now we will study about silk. Silk is another animal fiber. It is soft, light in weight and strong. Silk fiber is obtained from the cocoons of the silk moth. The rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk is called sericulture. Silk was developed in China about 5000 years ago. The technique of silk making came to India about 1700 years ago. India produced plenty of silk on commercial scale. First, we will study about life history of silk moth. There are 4 stages in the life cycle of a silk moth: egg, caterpillar or larva, pupa and adult. The female silk moth lays eggs from which hatch larvae which are called caterpillars or silkworm. They grow in size, and when the caterpillar is ready to enter the next stage of its life history called pupa. Students, you can see figure. First is female silk moth. Second, eggs on mulberry leaves. Third is caterpillars or silkworms. And fourth is pupa. Pupa first weaves a net to hold itself. Then it swings its head from side to side in the form of the figure of 8. During this movement of the head, the caterpillar secretes fiber made of a protein which hardens on exposure to air and becomes silk fiber. The caterpillar completely covers itself by silk fibers and turns into pupa. This covering is known as cocoon. The further development of the pupa into moth continues inside the cocoon. So student, this is the life cycle of silk moth. The female silk moth lays hundreds of eggs on the mulberry leaves. The larvae that hatched out in 3 to 5 days are called caterpillars. Caterpillars feed on mulberry leaves and grow in size. When the caterpillar is ready to enter the pupal stage, it stops feeding and its salivary glands start secreting a sticky fluid, that is protein. Protein hardens on exposure to air and forms a long thread of silk. This thread gets wrapped around its body to form a ball-like structure called cocoon. At this stage, the caterpillar becomes a pupa. The silk moth continues to develop inside the cocoon. At the end of the pupal stage, the silk moth cuts open the cocoon and the young moth flies out. So this is the whole life cycle of silk moth. Students, this is very important. So you have to remember this. Silk fibers are used for weaving silk cloth. Can you imagine? The soft silk yarn is as strong as a comparable thread of steel. The silk yarn is obtained from the cocoon of the silk moth. There is a variety of silk moths which look very different from one another, and the silk yarn they yield is different in texture. Tassar silk, muga silk, kosa silk, etc. are obtained from cocoons spun by different types of moths. The most common silk moth is the mulberry silk moth. Now we will discuss some activities. First we take activity 3.5. Students, collect pieces of silk cloth of various types and paste them in your science notebook. Students, you can find them in a tailor's shop. You can take help of your mother and aunt to identify the types of silk such as mulberry silk, tussar silk, eri silk, muga silk, etc. Next activity 3.6. Take an artificial or synthetic silk thread and a pure silk thread. Burn these threads carefully. Students, you will observe that the smell of burning of thread of pure silk is like the smell of burning of hair, while burning of artificial silk thread, the smell is similar to burning of plastic. Students, this is for an information which is mentioned on blue box page number 29. In India, women are significantly involved in various kinds of industries related to silk production. These are rearing of silkworms, reeling of silk from cocoons, and processing of raw silk into fabrics. By their enterprise, they contribute to the nation's economy. China leads the world in silk production. India also ranks among the leading silk producing countries. Students, I hope you have understood the life history of silk moth. We will continue this chapter in next video. Up till then, thank you.